Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I have my top favorite concealers. I'm really excited to be sharing this with you guys. I've been MIA, I haven't posted in about 2 weeks and I'm so sorry. I was just kind of getting myself situated. Every once in a while, everyone needs like a good break from social media. So I was MIA, I went away, I was upstate at Hunter Mountain. I had an amazing weekend. It was so much fun. Check out my Instagram if you want to see pictures. I vlogged, so that vlog should be coming up soon. So today we're going to be talking about concealer. I love concealer. Concealer can go a really long way. Now I don't really have a lot of darkness to cover up, but I do like my under eyes very, very bright. So I'm going to be sharing with you my top 5 favorite concealers, one runner up, and then a couple of like correctors and pot concealers that I feel like are worth mentioning as well. So without further ado, let's get into it. So my number 1 favorite concealer should come as no surprise. I feel like it's been everyone's favorite ever since it came out. It's just rocked everyone's world, and it is the Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I'm normally shade light medium, but because I am getting a bit fair, I'm adding a little bit of light right in the inner portion of my under eye just to kind of brighten a little more. But usually I can just get away with light medium, but I'm very, very guilty of that really bright under eye, so I've been mixing light medium with lights. They also have a shade medium, so sometimes I'll do medium and then light right on top. This concealer is bomb. So it retails for $24. This concealer is vegan, it's cruelty free, and I just love it oh so much. So what's awesome about this concealer is that you only need a little bit because it is full coverage. So the applicator is quite large. It's definitely larger than the average doe foot, but it is a doe foot applicator, and it's just the perfect consistency. So it's creamy, it's full coverage, it doesn't dry that fast, but it's just an awesome like moussey creamy texture, and I just can't explain it. It has the best coverage that I've found without being drying. So this is my most full coverage but still hydrating concealer, and for that it's my number 1 pick. It's been sold out for a really long time. A couple of shades are still in stock on Ulta.com. I know it's been really hard for everyone to find their shade. I actually picked up a backup on QVC of light medium. That shade is really popular, so I went on QVC and I picked up a backup. You do get the sponge with it, so it's like a $30 deal, but it's definitely worth it. I love, love, love this concealer. You only need a little bit, like 1-2 swipes and you're good to go. I blended out my beauty blender and I have full coverage, no creases, and it's amazing. I still set my under eye with any concealer, but I do notice that if I don't set it right away and I'm doing the rest of my makeup, I don't see any creases, so that's really awesome. I do have a lot of under eye lines and little creases under my eyes, so I noticed that with this one my under eye doesn't crease, but I do set it anyway because I know if I leave it without setting, it's gonna crease eventually. After a couple of hours, a concealer will crease if you don't set it. So Shape Tape has definitely been my favorite. I haven't tried it for contouring because this is like a 2-in-1. You can use it for concealer, you can use it to highlight, you can use it to contour. I haven't tried it for contouring yet, but I'm guessing it would be really awesome because it is so blendable and just so creamy. So Tarte Shape Tape is my number 1 pick. I feel like everyone should get their hands on it. It's really good. I think there are 10 shades total, which is pretty average for a concealer. I do like the shade range because they have some that are pink undertone, but primarily most of them are yellow undertone, which I personally like. Light medium is definitely a yellow undertone, and then light is just like a good fair neutral shade. So light, medium, and light. If you can get your hands on this, definitely try it out. You're gonna fall in love. I pinky promise. The hype has been real. This is an awesome concealer. I have it on right now and I just love it. It's really good. So my second pick is definitely Urban Decay Naked Skin Concealer. I have been loving this for so long, and a lot of people have. It's a great concealer. So I have 3 shades that I kind of rotate. I have Fair Neutral, which is my really, really light shade. Light Warm, which is a really nice yellow undertoned one. And then I have Light Neutral, which is a little more neutral, obviously, as the name suggests. Typically I do light neutral and then I'll do a little bit of fair neutral, just again to brighten up a little bit extra. This is such a great concealer. It doesn't dry as fast as a Tarte Shape Tape, so I feel like with this one I can get a little bit more time when blending this out. It just never looks cakey on me, it never looks dry. The Tarte Shape Tape just has a little bit more coverage, so you have to use less, but if Tarte Shape Tape didn't exist, Urban Decay Naked would be my number 1 pick. It just is so flexible. I feel like I can just apply a lot and it just never looks cakey. I like that I can use this on days that I don't want too much coverage, but I can also add a bunch and it can look really full coverage. You just have to use a little bit more. The applicator on the Tarte Shape Tape is gigantic, so you only need like 1 swipe, or with this one I feel like I have to pump it a couple of times to get the desired coverage because I like full coverage. But this is also a great concealer. Just like the name suggests, it's like naked. It doesn't look heavy on the under eyes. It just looks really flawless. It looks great in pictures, and again, I love the shade range on this. They have 11 shades, and I love Urban Urban Decay. If you like the Naked foundation, you're gonna love this. This is paraben-free, light diffusing, and I also love the shade range on this. They have 11 shades available on Sephora, and if you haven't been able to get the Tarte Shape Tape, definitely get this one because it's really up there. I feel like Tarte Shape Tape and my Urban Decay are right up there, almost tied, but before Tarte Shape Tape, this was my baby, and it's still my baby. I still use this. If you watch any of my older like glam makeup or going out makeup tutorials, I always use this one because I can count on it. I know it's gonna look good in pictures. I know it's gonna cover. I know it's not gonna look cakey or dry, so Urban Decay Naked Skin is definitely my number 2 pick. My next pick is MAC Pro LongWear Concealer. I usually use shade NC20, which is a really nice yellowy undertoned color. It reminds me a lot of Light Warm from Urban Decay Naked. And then I'll use like NC30, and I do have darker shades for my kids. This is a great, very full coverage concealer. Now on MACcosmetics.com, they describe this as like a really lightweight but full coverage concealer. I wouldn't call it lightweight. Now this is definitely a lot thicker than any of the other concealers that I own. This kind of reminds me of a cream concealer, like a pop concealer like the Kevyn Aucoin Sensual Skin Enhancer. It's definitely thick, so you really just need like the slightest pump, which is why I love this concealer, because for $22 you need like half a pump. Now sometimes one pump can be too much for some people, but I typically do one pump, half a pump on each under eye. I love this because it's waterproof, it's tear proof, sweat proof, everything proof. Like if I'm going on vacation, I'm going out at night and I want something that's really gonna last through humidity and it's just gonna cover up everything, MAC Pro LongWear. This is a great concealer for your kit also because it's not an applicator, it's a pump, so it's definitely a lot more hygienic, and you only need a little bit of product, so it's going to last you a really long time. Usually people don't go through Pro LongWear Concealer because it's so full coverage that you need the slightest amount, but I still like it. If used correctly, and if used with the Beauty Blender, I think this is flawless. It's really full coverage. If you have dark circles and you don't want to fuss with correctors, I would go with Pro LongWear. The Tarte Shape Tape will cover up dark circles. The Urban Decay also, but this one for sure will cover discoloration, acne spots, any hyperpigmentation, bruises, anything. They have 16 shades, which is really nice. I feel like they have a really good shade range, really light to really dark, and they have pinky undertones, yellow undertones. The C shades are yellow undertone, where the W shades have more of a pinky undertone. So if you're looking to really cover up discoloration, I would recommend the shade NW25 or NW30, but I like NC because I like that yellow undertone. But MAC Pro LongWear is definitely an OG. I feel like not a lot of people mess with Pro LongWear Concealer because they're probably using way too much. You just need a little bit, and I promise you a little goes a long way, and it looks so flawless. If you've, prepped the under eye, it's awesome. So if you use this and you feel like it's looking cakey, use less, use a damp beauty blender, and make sure you're using your eye cream every single night because this one will show fine lines if you haven't been taking care of your skin. But nonetheless, I love this, and yeah, for the price, I think it's so awesome because you get so much product. I know some people even use this kind of like spot conceal, some powder, and they're good to go instead of using foundation. So MAC Pro LongWear, definitely try it out, especially if you're a makeup artist. So my next pick is the Becca Aqua, it's a long name, Aqua Luminous Perfecting Concealer. I have it in the shade Fair. This one's a little bit pricier. It's $30, and I love this one because it's perfect for dry skin. So if I'm feeling extra parched, if I'm feeling like a Sahara Desert, I will use this one. This one is so good. It's rather new, but just like the name suggests, it's an Aqua Luminous Perfecting Concealer. So it's very hydrating. I like it on days that I'm not going to be wearing that much makeup, but I still want some concealer. The next one that I'm going to show you is also same concept. The days that I don't really want to wear like full coverage, beat face, kind of like very matte, this one does give you a little bit of a dewiness. If you like that really like luminous under eye, this one's perfect. But I feel like if you're baking with it, it's gonna get matte. If you feel like you've been using under eye cream and it's not doing the trick, try this one out. I love the applicator on this one because it's a doe foot, but it has like a slant to it, so I feel like it picks up product really well. So I don't feel like I have to keep on going in and getting more product. And these shades are really nice. They run pretty yellow in my opinion. I do have the full range, but I use the shade Fair. And again, I just like this on days that I don't want to think too much about my makeup. If I'm doing my makeup and I don't really feel like looking close up in the mirror, I just want to do it really fast, I'll use this one because it's kind of like a no-brainer. Really nice, lightweight, pretty good coverage, but more just for my dry days. I feel like this one's perfect for the dry skin girls out there. So Becca Aqua Luminous, and this one again is a little bit pricier, but I feel like if you have dry skin and you're at the point of, hey, no concealer is looking like good on me, then it's worth the extra bucks because it is going to bring a lot of moisture to the under eyes. Just a little random fact, but this concealer is 32% water enriched, so pretty cool. Didn't know that. Has a lot of water in it, which makes sense why it's so hydrating. So again, the Becca Aqua Luminous Perfecting Concealer. Long name. So my fourth pick is the Too Faced Born This Way Naturally Radiant Concealer. I have this one in the shade Light Medium. This one is also pretty new. This one retails for $28. I like this one. I don't use it that often because I use this on my no makeup days, which I feel like when I do my makeup, it's usually like all out or nothing. But when I am going for just like a wing liner, like my under eyes are looking pretty good that day, I'll go for this one. So this one is oil free, but it is coconut water infused. I love how much product dispenses every single time. It's a really nice, smooth, very soft concealer. It doesn't provide that much coverage, so if you are the type of person that just wears mascara and wants to conceal and you don't really have much to conceal, something like Tarte Shape Tape might be a little bit too much full coverage if you're not going to be doing foundation. So I know some people are into just concealing and not using foundation. So if you're into that and you don't want to make it look very obvious that you have concealer, this one would be perfect because again, it's not really detectable. It just gives you a really nice healthy look, and it's coconut water infused, so it's hydrating, but again, it's not going to give you maximum coverage. It's long lasting, but it's just like, you know, a good day-to-day concealer. It's not like the going out clubbing concealer because it's not super full coverage. I feel like this is perfect for someone who's just wearing day-to-day concealer. They just want to quickly swipe, blend, and go. This one would be perfect. It creases a little bit more on me than the other ones, but I put it in my favorites because I feel like not everyone wants that super full drag concealer, so this one's good for my natural girls or just for the natural days. So again, Too Faced Born This Way Naturally Radiant Concealer. And my number 5 pick is the Smashbox Studio Skin 24-Hour Waterproof Concealer. So this one is also oil-free. I have this one in the shade Light Medium. I feel like I'm usually light medium in concealers. I like this one. It's pretty new, so I haven't had it for too long. But it made it to my top 5 because I feel like it's full coverage but also not drying. And I don't know, I just really like the color on this one. When I pair this with the Smashbox Studio Finish foundation, I fell in love with the combo. I feel like they just blended into each other seamlessly. I feel like this concealer was made for that foundation. They just pair really nicely, so whenever I use that foundation, I use this. I like that foundation, and this one's newer, but I put this one as my number 5 because I just feel like it just looks very similar to the Urban Decay Naked Skin. It's just a different formula, it's a different brand, so yeah, I like this one. I don't have much to say about it because I haven't had it for too long, but it made my number 5 because it just has good coverage. It's not thick, it's not drying, and the shade is spot on. It's very yellow undertoned, so I like this one. I feel like I don't really have much else to say, but it's nice. It's a good concealer. Try it out if you're bored of your concealers and you like to rotate concealers. Try this one out. They have a bunch of shades, and it claims to be 24 hours. I haven't tested this for 24 hours, but I did notice that it lasted a really long time on the skin. Didn't crease. Very nice. I like it, and if you look at the reviews, most people really love this one. So it's new to my collection, but definitely made it to my favorites because I feel like concealer can be hit or miss. It can be really dry and patchy. Like the Kat Von D on my under eye just looked really pasty. So I prefer formulas like this that are more lightweight, just more blendable and waterier, I guess if that's a word, or just like creamier, I guess is better to say, and just more hydrating. So Studio Skin 24-Hour Waterproof Concealer by Smashbox. So my runner-up is the Nars Radiance Creamy Concealer. I love this concealer, but some days on my under eye it can just look really dry, and I hate that because I love the concealer itself, and I feel like it dries out, like the actual product dries out faster than my other ones because it is moussier. I don't feel like it's that creamy. I feel like it's definitely drier than my other formulas, but sometimes I really like that. Like I like that drier texture, but I feel like I really have to prep my under eye if I'm gonna use this. Also, when I use this, I do feel the need to use like a brightener or something on top to really brighten, but this one has good coverage. I feel like it covers dark circles really well, but it's not really thick like the MAC Pro LongWear or the Tarte Shape Tape. It's weird because it's a drier formula, covers well, but it's not super thick. It's very strange. I have like a love-hate relationship with it. More love, but I just feel like I run out of it so fast and I don't know why. Custard is like my go-to shade. I know a lot of people are die-hard fans of this. I do love it, but after like a month of having it, I'm like, it feels so dry under my eye and I don't know why. It's such a good concealer. The shades are awesome. So I know they came out with new extended shades, so I want to try, I think it's called Macadamia, but it's a good concealer either way. I feel like with this one I do have to dip a couple of more times than the average one. Like with the Tarte Shape Tape, it's one pump and you're good to go. With this one I do feel like I have to dip the applicator in a couple of times to get desired coverage. I feel like this is a great concealer for, you know, the bridge of the nose and for contouring and things like that. This is a great concealer for the face because it's not gonna be so dry, where on the under eye it can look a little dry if you haven't been using your under eye cream. I know I keep saying that, but it's so important to use under eye cream if you're using concealer. But yeah, this is my runner up. I feel like I cannot put it in here because I do love it. I just feel like I wish it lasted longer and I wish it just stayed creamier inside the tube longer. So Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer. Let me know if you love this because I know a lot of people love it. So I like to talk about our feelings on Nars Radiant Creamy Concealer, but definitely is my number 6. So my runner up. It's a good one. It's a good one. I wish it lasted longer. For the price, I just wish it lasted a little bit longer. So I can't make a video about concealers without talking about correcting. Now this is like number 1 request. I feel like, how do I correct my dark circles? I'm gonna have a video on it, but I just want to quickly touch on some of my favorite correctors. So dark circles usually mean broken capillaries underneath the eye, and broken capillaries are pretty much like bruises underneath your eye. So they tend to be bluish, greenish, that kind of undertone. So to counteract that color and to cover it up, you want to use something on the opposite side of the spectrum. So you want to use something orange, something a little peachy, something of a salmon or a red undertone so that you can cancel out that blue. So the biggest misconception is just using concealer on top of dark circles and then expecting everything to just go away. What happens is you're going to create a gray undertone, an ashy undertone. So if you're using concealer and you're finding that it looks very gray, very ashy, just like a weird color underneath your eyes, it's probably because you're not using a corrector or you're not using a concealer that's full coverage enough. So correctors that I really enjoy, this one's from Becca. This one is their under eye brightening corrector. So this one's perfect for people who have really dry under eyes but also have really dark circles. So under eye correctors can get a little complicated because you're basically going to be layering product, and so if you're layering product on top of dry skin, it can look really, really heavy, cakey, patchy, and weird. So make sure you're using under eye cream, please, especially if you're going to be using a corrector and a concealer. So this one's really nice. It's a nice pinky color, but it's very, very hydrating and brightening. So that's why I really like this one. I do really like the Urban Decay correctors and these Smashbox correctors. I just didn't bring them out. But another one that I use a lot on my clients is this one. This is the Becca Backlight Targeted Color Corrector, and this is in peach. So they're both by Becca. This one is just very, very extreme. So as you can see, it's an orange color and it's meant to be orange. So you apply this first very lightly and then you apply your concealer on top, and you're going to notice that it's going to not only correct, but it's also going to cover more. Your concealer is actually going to look more full coverage, but you do have to use a concealer that is full coverage because, I mean, it's a pretty bright orange. So if you use something like this and then something really lightweight, your under eye is going to look orange. If you use a corrector like this, you're going to want to make sure you use something very full coverage. So the first 3 that I mentioned, Tarte Shape Tape, Urban Decay Naked Skin, and MAC Pro Longwear, are going to pair very nicely with something like this. You don't want your under eye to look really orange in pictures and in person, so use it very sparingly, and I definitely recommend using a beauty blender. And then this one's newer to my collection, and this is the Napoleon Perdis concealer. It's called the One Concealer. It's only one shade. So this one's also a really nice peachy concealer. So it's meant to just be a concealer for everyone, but I feel like it's more of a corrector because of the undertone. It's a little pricey, but I think it's worth it because it's really creamy and it just looks great on the under eye. It doesn't look patchy or cake up or anything like that. So that's that. So definitely look into a corrector if you're using concealer and you're finding that it's not doing the job. If you're using a full coverage concealer and it's still dark underneath your eyes, try a corrector, but make sure you're using under eye cream the night before, and make sure that you're using something like a beauty blender to blend it out so that it doesn't look really heavy and dry and weird and crepey underneath the eyes. And the last 3 concealers that I want to mention are these little jar concealers. So this is the Kevyn Aqua Sensual Skin Enhancer. This is an SX04. This is actually not really a concealer, but I like it as a concealer. This is for my girls who want full beat down, like crazy coverage. So this is meant to be like a foundation, like a spot kind of concealer. But if you use this under the eyes, I will guarantee you that it's going to be flawless and just full coverage. So it is very expensive, but you only need a little bit, and it's a really cool product to have, especially in a kit. I feel like you can't go wrong with Sensual Skin Enhancer. You can use it as a foundation, you can use it as a concealer. Just use it very sparingly because it's full pigment, like full-blown pigment under your eye. And then the next one I want to mention is from Glossier, and this is the Stretch Concealer in Light 10. I really like this one too. It's very balmy. I feel like it just looks really good underneath the eyes. It gives you a really nice glow, which I like. For no makeup days, this is perfect because it just looks like your skin is really healthy and glowy and youthful, and you can use it to spot conceal, but I like underneath the eyes just kind of pressed, and it just looks really pretty. That one's a really good one. I feel like not a lot of people talk about it. This next one is the Anastasia concealer. This is in 1.0, and I like this one for concealing the brows. It's super full coverage. If you like to conceal your brows and you like a lot of coverage, or you're trying to cover up a lot of hairs, this one's great. I don't use this underneath my eyes because it's way too thick for me personally, but it's a really nice one for spot concealing and concealing the brows. But the concealer that I use every single time I do my brows and conceal my brows is MAC Studio Finish Concealer in NC20. Sometimes I'll use NC15, but this is a concealer I use on the daily pretty much, or whenever I wear makeup and I fill in my eyebrows, I always conceal them with this. I can do a whole other video talking about like my favorite brushes to conceal your brows, but this is a must-have for me. Like if I don't have this, I kind of freak out. I like using this better because it's a little bit drier and it's a little stiffer, so I feel like I can just get a really nice precise line, where if I use a regular concealer, it's very liquidy, it kind of just moves all over the place and just kind of disrupts my brows. So I love this because I can just be really precise and work really slowly with it, and it's not going to budge, it's not going to bleed onto my brows. So this is a must-have for me. I always use it. Some people use it underneath the eyes, but it's way too dry in my opinion. You can also use it to spot conceal, but again, this is my brow concealer, strictly brow concealer for me. So NC20 is a good shade, and yeah, I always conceal my brows with it, and I feel like I just had to mention it. I'm always on the hunt for another concealer to conceal my brows, but I always end up using this, so MAC Studio Finish Concealer. So those are my favorite concealers. Concealing is definitely a huge part of my makeup routine. As you can tell, I like my under eye very bright. I feel like it just goes with my face shape. So I'm going to be uploading 2 different videos on concealer, one on how to cover up dark circles and another one on just like concealer application, how I apply my concealer in the upside down triangle, little tips and tricks that I've learned, and then with baking and how to set the concealer so that it doesn't crease or it doesn't look dry and things like that. So be on the lookout for those 2 videos. I'm also going to have my top 5 favorite oils, facial oils, so that should be coming up soon, and also some vlogs. I'm sorry I've been MIA, but I'm back. If you want to see this top 5 series with all types of products like powders, blushes, things like that, let me know. I'll definitely do a series. I feel like that's what I'm kind of leaning towards, like top 5 favorite bronzers, top 5 favorite blush, top 5. So thumbs up this video if you like that idea. Thank you so much for watching, and again, I hope you found this helpful, and I will see you in the next one. Bye guys.
Oh, you got some vacation time, crying a nice room.